someone, and I'm not naming any names, someone forgot to announce the winners as she was doing her voiceover. So I'm adding them to beginning. So in no particular order, congratulations to Rachel, Yvonne, and Tania. Be sure to check your emails. You have until the 17th to get back to me. If I don't hear from you, then I will draw new winners. Thank you to everybody who signed up. I really do appreciate you. We'll have more giveaways going forward. Hey friends. Hey there everyone. It's Misty here from TheJollyFatElf. Happy Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining me. I apologize that you don't see my face, but my light was supposed to be here today. Is it? No. Am I irritated? Yes. Amazon Prime makes me angry sometimes. So, in today's video, I'm going to be creating cards using all of the characters that I colored in Monday's video. This is the Yabba Dabba Doo January release from Stamp Anything. I will have everything that I can listed down below. This is the Volcano Builder. This may have been retired. I honestly couldn't tell you yes or no, but if I have it, I will link it down below. So here I'm going to share with you how I still use my magnetic sheets, but also hang on to the backer card that kind of shows you how to put stuff together. So I have magnetic sheets that have been adhered to chipboard. That's how I store my Stamp Anything dies. Now, if you're interested in more, I do have a 2-part craft room tour on the channel, where you see how I've organized every inch of this room. And, yeah, so if you're nosy like me, be sure to check that out. Yeah. So this is day 3 of my Valentine card series. So all 3 of these are loved theme. I think most of the, sentiments in this are kind of love themed. There's even a Valentine, and I after I finished the very last card that you guys will see, I was like, dang it, I should have used Valentine. So anyway, I don't throw anything away. I keep all of my scraps. This is my cardstock scraps. They go into a quart-sized freezer bag. I hang on to them and I use them when I can. I want to be as zero waste as possible, and this is part of how I can do that. If you missed it, this whole series is basically a project use your stuff. I have an intro video on the channel as well where I talk about what I want to use and what I want to accomplish. This is just a way for me to get use out of what's in my collection and not be tempted to buy, because Lord have mercy on my soul, the last thing I need is more paper, let me tell you. So I'm going to go ahead and put everything together. I have the house. I do wish I had cut this out in a lighter piece of paper. Hindsight's 2020. If I were to remake this, I would have completely did this differently. I really struggled with the card that this went on. You'll see that later in the video. So if I were to do it all over again, I wouldn't have made it quite so dark. And I think I would have liked the card a bit better, but that's okay. You guys know, if you've been here for forever, I'm like, I don't really like this card. And you guys are like, Missy, that card is great. I'm like, okay, thank you. We're our own worst critics, right? And even though my word of the year is self, and I'm trying to practice self-compassion and giving myself grace, sometimes I just get frustrated when an idea in my head doesn't translate to paper. And that's kind of what happened in the second card. So once I get all of my die cuts together, they are going to go on to cards. Now, I mostly do A2 size cards, and that's what you're going to see me do today. For this grass, I had this big piece and I thought, you know what, let's cut it again, and then I can end up cutting that in half. As for the volcano, I'm going to I used red for the lava, and then I did the rocks and the kind of shadow of the rocks, I guess is what it is, in 2 different shades of brown. And I didn't use double-sided adhesive sheet. I know, who am I? So you're going to see me struggle a little bit with liquid glue. Okay, so I have a card base that measures 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I am using just a random cloud die stencil from my collection, and I believe this is tumbled glass, and I'm just creating a backdrop for my volcano, and then I'm going to bring in a grass one, and I think this is pine needles, lucky clover, and I'm just adding some grass to the bottom as well. because I wanted something to kind of ground. I'm making a scene. So I wanted clouds and I wanted grass, and that's what I did. So I'm adhering that volcano to the very tippy top of the card. So I ended up not using the steam on top of it, but I'm adding the grass, and then I am going to start playing with the layout. So let me tell you, this card and the next card, I probably cut out 30 minutes of me just hemming and hawing on how I wanted to set these up. I was just like, I had the vision in my head, like I mentioned, and I probably should have gone 5x7 on the first two, but I didn't. And I love this first card. I think it's adorable. I think, again, I've mentioned before, I think this is the cutest chibi girls that we've had. And I love the guys as well. So I love the images and stuff like that. It was just, again, translating it to the paper. So yeah. So Betty is going to end up on the left and Barney's going to end up on the right. And that's because I want you to be able to see the volcano. And when Betty is there in the middle, you don't really see it as well. And again, you can see here that I'm playing with like 82 different layouts, but I end up with the rocks on the right hand side, and then I ended up getting them on the left. I'm going to adhere both of them with the Scotch mounting foam. Here I'm playing with Fred and Wilma, like I was just trying everything. And then I decided to bring in some of the smaller pieces of the grass and add it to kind of give it more dimension and more layers. Trick for you, if you saw that, I put my smaller pieces onto a piece of paper before I add adhesive, and then I can just rub the adhesive away. And there you see my layout, and now I'm going to go ahead and add this to the back. And once I do that, I'm going to peel off the backer sheets, and then we're going to get this adhered. So Barney went first, and then Betty is beside him, but I had to end up lifting him just a little bit so her hair would fit on the card. And then if you missed it in Monday's video, Misty, today is Wednesday. Monday's video, I had stamped 3 different sentiments, and I'm using the one, I would be rebel without you, I think is what it says. The rebel one, I don't remember exactly, but that's the one I use on this one. And then I brought in a blue glitter pen. You guys have seen me do this a million times here lately. I went over her bow with the blue, and then I used the blue on her dress, but I only gave it like lines up. I didn't go the whole entire thing. Okay, this card, Lord have mercy on my soul. I started with not using stencils. That probably was a bad idea. I probably also should have figured out a different layout. I think maybe if I did a slimline with the house on top and the other images at the bottom, I may have liked the perspective better. But this card was just Hot Mess Express from the beginning. So I'm going to go ahead and use the house, and I'm going to use some of the grass. And this is kind of the layout I had in mind. Initially, I was going to use Fred and Wilma, and I was just like, he's in such a funny pose that getting him beside her looked a little weird to me. And I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm just saying, to me, it was not what I had pictured. So, and I knew I wanted to use Pebbles and Bam Bam. So I initially thought, let's make, this could be a Mother's Day card, and use Pebbles and Bam Bam. And then I was looking at this and I was like, it really needs some texture. So I brought in the stencil from the collection. This is the print that Fred has on his attire. And I am going back over that distress blending with the stencil. And by doing that, by depositing more color, it makes it darker, and therefore you have a bit of texture in the background. And I actually like this. I think this is a fun way to do landscaping. I have several cards on the channel where I've used different pattern papers for grass or different pattern papers for clouds. It's just paper. Play with it. Have fun. It's meant to be fun. It's not meant to be, serious or stressful. Just play with it. And they're not all going to be winners. They're not all going to be your favorite. But, at the end of the day, I like these cards. I love one of them for sure. And I feel like I represented this Bedrock. What am I trying to say? The residents of Bedrock. I think I did a pretty good job. Listen, I cannot think of the Flintstones without thinking about the Bedrock Flintstone kids. Yabba dab, yabba dab, yabba dabba doo. We are the Flintstone kids. Bedrock. Like, I think it's song lyrics anyway, and this just makes it worse. Do you guys remember that? Lord, I'm aging myself in. I'm gonna be 47 in April, you guys. 47. That is like, just saying that out loud is so weird to me. But yeah, it's going to happen. I'm going to be 47 years old. So I went ahead and used one of these. It is the cutout from the window on the sentiment. And then here I am going in with the Copic marker to kind of add some dimension. And again, this should have been done before I glued it down, but I wasn't even thinking about it. I was just trying to figure out in my head how I wanted it to go. I still don't love it, but I do like the dimension. Like I felt like it needed it. Like I didn't want them to be flat. I didn't mind the volcano being flat because most of the volcano was going to be covered. For this house, not most of it's going to be visible. So I just went in with some coordinating Copic markers. I'm using a grain to get some grass underneath, not grass underneath them, to get some shadow underneath them. And then, yeah, I brought in some jewels, and that is the second card. Third card is my favorite. So if you ever see me make a slimline card, you know I cut them at 7 by 8.5. That leaves me a 3.5 by 8.5 inch piece of paper, and that's actually what this is. So I'm using the You're Right Up My Alley sentiment, and I'm stamping it vertically onto this piece of paper. So I'm using a T-square ruler, and I'm just adding marks. I'm making a bowling lane. Now, in the cartoon, it's gray. It's just gray rock, like granite or whatever. But my husband bowls. I don't know if you guys know that. Maybe you do. But he bowls in a league. He actually has it tonight. So this is actually going to be his Valentine's card. And I really love how it turned out. So I'm just adding the lanes like you would see. I think there's like 36. Like I looked it up and they said there's like 36. I slowed this one down because look what I did. Look what happened. I moved it and now I drew it crooked. It's like misdied. So I'm cutting off the end, and then these are Ohuhu paper markers. They're water-based markers. I picked these up for my bullet journal, but I thought it would look good on this piece of paper. And initially I was like, oh, I don't like it. But then I was like, oh, wait a minute. This actually looks like real wood. In person, it looks like real wood. So again, these are Ohuhu paper ready markers. They're supposed to not peel, make your paper not peel. No, it peeled, but that's okay. So once I do that, I'm going to bring in the die with the bowling pin. So that's the one that has Dino's arms and stuff. So there's a bowling pin and a bowling ball. So I'm going to cut out 10 pens. Then I'm going to bring in the bowling ball. I'm going to go ahead and use that other rock that was in this the window of the house. And that is the bowling ball is going to go on top of it. So you can see the finger holes, but it's still brown and it's a rock because that's what they bowl with. They bowl with rocks. They hit rocks. I'm bringing in one of those red markers from that same set to add the red stripe. And I'm just going to make these look like he got a strike. And again, I should have used Valentine and I should have used strike, but I didn't. I can always go back and add strike, but I don't really have a space to put Valentine. So it could have been Valentine, comma, You're Right Up My Alley, or You're Right Up My Alley, Valentine. It could have really been either. So yeah. So I'm cutting my piece of paper to 7 by, I think it was like 6.5, and it was too long. So you're going to see me line it up, and then I'm like, okay. And then I'm going to use some scissors to kind of notch it. And then I'm going to bring in my paper trimmer, get it trimmed down, and then I'm going to get this adhered. Next, I'm going to add Fred with some Scotch mounting foam, and that's it. That's it. That's all 3 of the Yabba Dabba Doo cards for the January Stamp Anything release. I mentioned in Monday's video that this stamp set was out of stock. I think it'll be in stock soon. So make sure you head over to the website, put your email in, especially if you want this one, because I have a feeling it'll sell out again really quickly. So yeah, and you can join Stamp Club and be guaranteed to get the release. Next month's release, awesome. March's release, awesome. Now, April will be my last Stamp Anything project because I will have surgery in May. So I'll hopefully pick it back up next fall. But yeah, I'm really excited for the future, and I hope that you are too. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. I hope you have a good day, night, week, wherever you are. I love your faces, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye for now.